YouTube, it is I, Sakarma, coming at you with another quick battle from Total Brohammer. I am heading the Empire against a Lizardmen, a matchup we've seen a few times before, but I'm trying to perfect this build with the I guess the Karl Franz Death Squad with the Outriders in support against Gizmo. And you know what I always say, guys, Gizmo problems mo. Yeah, I thought of that one before, and I thought it was fucking hilarious. I don't know. Having said it, I feel nothing but shame. But anyways, so right off the bat, I sort of position facing the wrong way. He's over here in the corner, so I got to run over on the side. He's not corner camp or anything. He's just on this left flank, so I got to run my guys over here. So what did I bring? We'll do it real quick. So 4 Outriders, 1 Zentler's Reichsguard, 1 regular Reichsguard. A bunch of spearmen, silver chevrons, as high as they could, give them that extra melee defense so they can survive a little bit longer against Source Warriors. A couple of great swords to help out with that infantry fight. Karl Franz with all his goodies. A Jade Wizard on a horse with, I believe I have Dwellers Below, I want to say. Dwellers Below and Regrowth, because the only thing I really need to heal is him and the Reichsguard, so there's no reason to bring Earthblood. My opponent, meanwhile, has a front line of Source Warriors. 4 of them, 2 regular, 2 with spears, a couple of cohorts with javelins. He got the Mazda without the slack. He's just on the floating pedestal, the floating throne of Mayan cultural appropriation. And he's got Ruination of Cities. He's got Banishment. He's got Shield the Old Ones. Got all this good stuff. And then what are the spells? Just Net of Ammontalk, interesting, and Apotheosis. Yeah, those are good solid spells. He's got over here a Skink Chief, who does not have spells. Oh, on a Psilodon, what they're called. And then he's got a Feral Carnosaur, it looks like. Oh, a Source Scarf Engine. Interesting. With a Lizard and a couple of Chameleon Skinks. So, yeah, not a totally off-meta pick for the Lizardmen over here. So, to start the game and move over a little bit, we'll actually speed it up just a bit. I start moving up a bit, and I'm trying to find the best angle to attack this. Obviously, I don't want to get too mucked up in there. I want to try and get rid of the Scar Veteran as fast as possible, because he's the best answer they have to Karl Franz between speed and strength. Once we get rid of that guy, Karl Franz will be pretty free, have pretty free reign throughout the battle. So we got a nice couple volleys in there with a couple of Outriders. And I do want to pursue. I don't know these guys exist yet. They are hidden in the forest over here. He does have this Laser Lizard, who's going to be, obviously able to decimate these guys with a couple of good shots. I don't want to bring them too close in. Over here, I'm starting to reposition around the flank. These guys just do a ton of damage. Jesus, just firing off those volleys of insane poison monster nonsense, like a wood elf or like a he's got like a pretty much a unit of Bretonian peasants on there. Just the amount of the volley, the amount of fire, the volume of fire rather, that he sends through. But over here he stops again, and every time he even pauses for a moment, we're just gonna of course peg him down. Because a nice laser beam right through there, killing what? Ooh, that looks like 2 or 3. Yeah, it looks like 2 horses right there. It's real damaging. He gets a nice net over here on these guys. Not really sure what he was trying to do. I guess he wanted to pin them down for the Scars Veteran. Probably would have better served over here. He is throwing some javelins, and these guys I probably should have pulled them back at that point. But he gets a nice banishment on here. But I don't know, they weren't densely formed enough. I have seen banishment destroy cavalry. It does do much better against cav in this game, but it just wasn't the right sort of concentration. Over here, I get a nice little charge on his thing. I pop my abilities. Right there, so I am hoping to do some damage quickly. It's then that we realize these guys are here, but because of my opponent position them, they're right on the edge of the map, so we are going to be able to get in there. Of course, pin them against the boundary. Of course, he only has 100 armor. Oh yeah, I thought he had 80. 100 is actually not bad. He has 100 armor, but these guys are still going to be able to peg him down. Over here, the Scar Veteran was able to do some serious damage on our Reichsguard, and then we lost another unit of Outriders because I was managing elsewhere. I am going to pull these Spearmen out of this fight. Obviously better to engage them with great swords. Over here, I like the Spearmen fighting these guys. They'll hold them down. They will do some damage, and they won't die very quickly. And then we are able to get rid of this Laser Lizard with Karl Franz. Although the Laser Lizard did a lot of damage to Karl Franz. Griffins are just so weak. This guy's an anti-infantry, walking artillery for 1,000. He's like a 2,500 lord that's meant to, kill other lords. Pretty much a duelist. I guess, it does a little splash damage, but yeah, shockingly weak. What can you do? Over here, I reposition these Outriders. A couple of these guys will come back. I'm going to start getting some chargers into the front lines. Do a little bit of damage there. Not bad at all. He's going to try and, he's really, keen on getting rid of my Zentler's Reichsguard, but he's pursuing him, doggedly with his Source Scar Veteran. Just will not relent. But yeah, he gets bogged in here, and I think these guys get, I probably tried to tell them to get out, but they probably got pulled back in the orders. Over here, I was trying to get rid of some of these skinks, and I do. I probably committed way too much resources between the Reichsguard and the Greatswords to get rid of them, but what can you do? Over here, his scores from our adventures getting shot up, and I probably should have charged with Karl Franz, but I saw an opportunity to get some damage on Mazdamundi. I was like, why not take it? So I get a nice little hit here. I don't want to get bogged down, because if he hits him, and then Mazdamundi hits him, and then brings a Sword Scar veteran in there, I would have been in real trouble. So I was like, meh, not worth it. The battle's going decently in my favor. I'll stick to it for now. There's no reason to risk Karl Franz in that case. If I lose Karl Franz, I've lost the battle. I won't be able to kill Mazdamundi with any sort of rapidity, and I won't be able to take down his monsters. So I need Karl Franz here. Obviously, the Outriders can do it, but between the magic, the healing, and all that, I don't think we'd be able to do it with any sort of speed. We have Karl Franz healed up here from our Jade Wizard, who's somewhere around here. Who knows what he's doing? He's over there. He's hurt himself, miscasting, so basically did like a life transfer from himself to Karl. But, it's for the Emperor. It makes sense. Over here, we're going to get some fighting in here, which is going to be a slog fest, because these guys have, pretty poor melee defense, and these guys have pretty more melee attack, really high melee defense. So, it's, neither of them are going to do much damage to each other, which is fine by me. We are going to get shots in the flanks here. 42, that's so high. Oh my god, Sword Skirmishers. But he does bring these Skulking cohorts to get them sandwiched, which is going to start hurting their leadership. Of course, dinos are able to break everything in terms of infantry in the front line, which is fair. But I'm able to sort of, win the battle on the right, on the other flank here. This is going to be a banishment, I assume, or a ruination of cities. It's a banishment, and that was a much betterly, that was a much more superiorly placed. Superiorly, is that a word? I don't know. It was a superior, just a better placed banishment. There we go. That's English. So he's a better placed banishment that just did tons of damage to my Greatswords and my Reichsguard. So much better use of banishment over there. He does have his monster squad just sort of together over here, and he's gonna start chasing down these Outriders, but they're also spread out. It's gonna be difficult for him to hit it. I do send the Jade Wizard over here. I accidentally misclick and send him to a fight, and then I was like, no, don't do that. I'm able to pull him away before anything catastrophic happens. Unfortunately, though, for my opponent here, he's chasing these guys. He's isolating himself. And I actually turn these guys around for a nice little shot because he gets caught up on these spearmen. Karl Franz is right there. He's going to get in nice with a nice little, he's going to pop his abilities, get a couple hits, and with the death of the Sword Scar veteran, it is a huge swing in my favor because that was the one thing they had to deal with Karl Franz. And now it's looking, much better in my favor. I have the ranged advantage, I have the Karl Franz advantage, and I don't really have the infantry advantage anymore. My greatswords have been pretty much decimated through magic, and so have my knights. But there's another like over here. I probably sent them to chase something off, and now I forgot them, so that's not going to play on my part. But over here, I am using these Outriders to try and take some guys down. I did a nice Dwellers Below here just to do some damage on these Sword Scar veterans, Swords Warriors rather, and deal some damage to these guys. Maybe not the best because they were fighting great swords, so maybe it wasn't the best Dwellers Below, but hey, why not? I thought it was a good idea. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Over here, his Skink Chief is taking off some Outriders. But he is out of ammo. Surprisingly, they're unable. The Skink Chiefs on their little flying pterodon are able to carry like infinite ammo, but on this giant fucking Stegodon with obviously tons of place to put blow darts and blow whatever. They fit like what 20, because that's Warhammer logic. But what can you do? If there's one thing Warhammer ammo is inconsistent. The consistency is in skulls. There are skulls on everything. Everything must have a skull or some sort of spike. There's never not enough room for skulls or spikes. Over here, I'm chasing I'm chasing Karl Franz, chasing Mazdamundi down with the Karl, the Empire. Pecking him in the ass, giving him a little bite, pecking him, give him a little claw right there. And I am going to bring the Zentler's Reichsguard, which is very flavorful. Obviously, there's the Knights of the Reichland, and they're coming in to help out Karl Franz and take down this monstrosity. I mean, look at this guy. Look at his little feet. He sits like a baby. Oh my god, I have never noticed this before, but he sits like a baby. You know how babies have their legs in like fucked up positions like that? Oh, Jesus. Look, oh wow. Mazdamundi. Shame on you. I didn't realize how unworthy you were of my respect. He looks like a baby. He has those big fat arms like a baby. His legs are positioned like a baby. He's got a belly like a baby. He's just a baby. Mazdamundi. Maybe there's like some sort of lore explanation for this, that maybe they're like because I know they're like the oldest living beings, but maybe they like never matured because like whoever created the life on Warhammer world was like, oh nice, look at that claw coming right out of his fucking junk, but didn't realize the progression of life, or I don't know. I'm not making any sense anymore, but yeah, I am very concerned that he looks like a baby and he has like little shaker rattles. Oh my god. And then Karl Franz just looks fucking glorious right there. That's pretty cool. Anyways, back to the game. Enough bad comedy with Sakarma. But you guys are used to that by now. I get a nice little, weak little push charge in the back with Sentinel's right card. Barely doing any damage, but, you know, whatever. What can you do? Over here, he's got his Skink Chief way over in the back, and we're going to deal with him at some point. I'm just running some units off. Our riders are out of ammo. He does have some spears here, which are protecting Mazdamundi. Of course, these spears, as you saw, they have crazy high weapon damage, so they will do well against Karl. But I do have some cav left. I do have some great swords left, but Mazdamundi's going to float right into them, and that's probably going to be the end of them. They have 8 models there, and they're going to lose 6 now because of Mazda 5. Yeah, they're going to go down. But, pardon me, I do get a nice little charge in the background. Yeah, and they start to rampage. And I get a nice little, again, Zettler's Rice Guard charge. I have the Light Wizard over here just, you know, helping these units, you know, clean up. These guys have somehow been able to get into my Outriders. I don't know how that happened, but they still had ammo, so I don't know why. Maybe they were off skirmish, who knows. But we're able to get this guy down. We're going to start putting some, yeah, there you go, starts to flee, and that's huge. And we're going to make sure he doesn't come back. Over here, you know, just going to do some cycle charging. He does have, you know, a decent little infantry corps. These guys are quite healthy, and again, they will do some damage to Karl. He does have some healing. I'm probably out of magic, but the rest of my forces are starting to come back. And, yeah, we'll speed it up a bit, because as you can see, there's not really a lot they can do to stop the Karl, especially cycle charging, so I'm just going to, yeah, I'll just speed it to the end. So he's going to go montage. Yeah, so there it goes. Chasing this guy off. He's coming all the way around. You know, just going in as best we can, but yeah, the remainder of our forces are coming in. And actually, he pushes the balance bar back impressively. I don't know how that happened, but he was able to push the balance bar back. I don't really know what caused that, because things are looking good for me. Oh, these units, I guess, regrouped, but they're too far from the battle now, and Mazda's isolated, so he's just going to start going down. We still have some bullets left, and once his, you know, that little chunk of hit, and wow, he does a lot of damage to Karl. Wow, Karl took a lot of damage in that charging, so I guess it wasn't as cut and dry as I thought, but yeah, as you can see, another victory for the Empire. I think the Empire is not so bad. I think the Empire has some tools, specifically the Outriders. Karl Franz is a goon, and some healing magic. I mean, they do have some answers, I think, to a number of factions. I think you are at a disadvantage when you play as the Empire, but what they do have is versatility. You know, there's not like certain, like, if you're playing the Greenskins, you know you can bring Lord Sniping, because the Greenskins are always going to lack leadership, and they're never going to have healing. So you can always Lord Snipe against the Greenskins. So that's something, a weakness the Greenskins have. Even though they might, I would argue, they're a stronger faction in Game 2 than the Empire. Their inability to sort of be unpredictable makes them an overall weaker faction. So even though they have more cost-effective units, they're not, I don't think, as good as the Empire. I think that applies to a lot of factions. Bretonia, for instance, needs cav. You know, you can't bring an infantry-heavy corps of Bretonia. They're going to get fucked, unless you're fighting something like Wood Elves, who have no armor. But yeah, by and large, and no big monsters except for trees, but you can deal with trees because you have fire arrows. But yeah, but by and large, you know, you're looking at I think the Empire, well, they don't have the most cost-effective units. They do have enough versatility that they can be quite effective. Meanwhile, Gizmo, GG to my opponent here. As you can see, you know, pardon me. The Knight's doing well. Karl Franz being Karl Franz. His units doing decently across the board. They're obviously going to trade well with Empire infantry. Mazdamundi getting a lot of kills through magic. The Score Scar Veteran, probably, if you had managed the Score Scar Veteran better, it would have been a much different game. That was, I think, the turning point, was how this guy was managed, because he had to be a Karl Franz killer. And he was just sort of a little bit too willy-nilly with him. Had he kept him higher and tighter, it would have been better. And something else you don't see a lot, and I think that people should be more considerate of, is keeping their chameleon skinks within their lines and just using them as like a backline defense. Because they do apply poison, and they will shoot down Karl Franz in relative short order, and they will be able to slow down some of those Rice Guards so they can, you know, take some damage on the retreat. I mean, they can be used a lot more defensively. A lot of people like to Vanguard deploy them because they're so hard to catch, but I think more often than not, you actually will be benefited by having them in your back line. But that's for another video. Anyways, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you around the bend.